What's going on, everybody? Am I live? Can we just confirm, just so that way I'm aware. Once we get a confirmation in here, all right. Comments already popping off. All right. If anybody can confirm I'm live, let me know. So we're gonna have a lot of fun. I just want y'all to know that. Anybody confirm I'm live, please? It's not pulling up from here. All right. I'll just refresh here just to make sure. But how's everybody doing? I am Justin Adams. I am the post-game host at Nebraska at the Voice of College Football right here on YouTube. So, like I said, it was very painful. There's going to be what's going on, Matt? What's going on, brother? There's going to be a lot to unpack here, but we're going to have fun with it. All right, this isn't going to be some doom and gloom situation. We're going to break down the football on the field. We're going to have a talk. Drop your comments in here, and we'll just go over everything that happened a little bit. So, first things first. First half, brutal. Oh yeah, and my dog Gunner over there. So he's wanting to join in today. So I'm just going to let him sleep right there. He's in a little bit of pain. He hurt his hip. So, first half, I mean, it was a tale of two halves naturally. The way I see that the game played out is the fact that Nebraska in the first half, that was their opportunity to do what Colorado did in the second half. But self-inflicted wounds, turnovers, the whole nine. Colorado, the second half, they played the second half like we did the first half. I believe our defense did all they could, but there's only so much. I mean, they're playing at altitude. Couldn't keep those guys off the field. There's only so much that they can do out there before they need the offense to sustain some drives and pick them up a little bit. And they didn't do that, and our defense got gassed, and that was the result. It's one of those things that whenever you come out and you play on the road in a raucous environment like that with a team that has a lot of momentum, all things considered, that's a recipe for disaster. And we know it's the old same song and dance that we get every single time. But yeah, I'll flip through some of y'all's comments here a little bit, but just a little bit deeper in depth breakdown. Just running through the box score here just a little bit. So we had Harburg came in for a little bit. I don't know what the Chuba Harburg little flip flop there was, but Sims came in 9 of 15, 106 yards passing there. Not good. The one pick, and then of course the inability to just hold on to a shotgun snap. I will say I think the broadcast was a little bit hard on him on the mesh concept to Gabe Ervin, where Gabe was taking the handoff, and I think that was more on Gabe than it was Sims. I know Sims was the guy that they were jumping on for that one, but I think that one's more on Gabe. But I'm very much with the notion that Sims, if he plays next week, he has to be on a short leash. There's no way, but I'm hoping maybe that Harburg can get some reps in there so we can at least see. I don't want to go through another year of where we waste one of Chuba or Harburg's year if maybe they're the guy in waiting and we just can't get to them. Last year, of course, we know Chuba and Harburg were thrown into situations where it was impossible for them to be successful. I mean, they were thrown in. I think Chuba was thrown in on the road in a close Big Ten game. It's just not. It's last year. What we got from them was not what their talent is indicative of. So I wouldn't mind seeing some of those guys get some like legitimate game action, not just thrown at the end. I mean, Harburg, he needs to work on some of his accuracy and stuff like that. But he's got an arm. He's mobile. Chuba can throw. Chuba can move a little bit too, but Sims, there's going to be a big QB controversy this week. But I'll just go back a little bit more into the numbers here. Gabe Ervin, 17 carries or 74 yards. Most of those came in the first half. The thing about it is Nebraska's whole game plan should have been to go in there and just pound the rock into their interior defensive line and try to establish that run game and wear them down. The problem with that in lies is if you get down because you turn the ball over too much, you then can't continue to run the ball because you're playing from behind. You're going to have to throw it. And clearly that's our demise. Throwing the football is something that we are not going to be able to do very well until we figure this out. Colorado deserves a lot of credit. That team played way better than I expected them to. Turnovers and penalties are part of the game. So they played better than I expected them to. Shadur Sanders had some great plays. He had a lot of poise in the pocket. I will say that even when our defense was on him, he still kept his calm and composure, kept his eyes downfield and stuff like that. So you can't take that away from him. You can't take anything away from what Deion's done there. That is absurd compared to, from what that team was last year. So I'll preface it with that as I go through everything. But yeah, Sims 10 carries for 67 yards. Of course, the 57-yard carry being the bulk of that. Mir Johnson, 11 carries for 66 yards. The run game was averaging over 5 yards a carry. So the recipe was there. It was the fact that when you get down 2 scores, 3 scores, well, all of a sudden you can't just shorten the game anymore and run the ball, which played right into what Colorado was weak at. And so credit to them. They did what they needed to do to take advantage and get ahead of us in the game and limit the potential impact of us running the ball. So all right, let me get into some of the comments. There's a lot here, so I got to start at the top. I'm going to run through a little bit here. I'll just Sim should be done. Yeah, so I agree. I don't want Sims to play right now. I don't necessarily want to say he's done, but I don't think he needs to be back out there until if Anthony Grant doesn't see the field because of some fumbling issues in camp and a fumble in a game, I don't know how you can keep Sims out there. And it's not like Sims has the reps with his offense. It's not like he was here last year and has more reps than the other guys. It's just in this situation, it's got to be Rule making the decision that's best for the team. We know Rule likes Sims, but I hope Rule doesn't get too caught up on what he believes Sims can be versus what Sims actually is right now. Yeah, I think as most of us thought, probably start the second half, we should have made a QB change there. Sims wasn't the issue. I don't know what game you watched. I'm going to be completely honest, but it wasn't this one. All right. Sims is Rule's recruit. Well, yeah. Sims was handpicked by Rule to come in from Georgia Tech. Yes. That was one of the things too. It's like, I think we were all kind of calling into question what Rule saw in Sims that made him want to go after him so heavy, and he was so high on his talent. And I'm not saying he's not talented. He could very well be in his head, have a case of the yips, because I know the knock on him before was his completion percentage. He wasn't very accurate thrower of the ball. I think in the 54% or something like that. I can't quite remember, but the fumbling stuff seems to be, I don't know if he's just got it in his head and he's just overthinking it, but even if that's the case, you still got to get him out of there until he resets. He can't keep sitting here just killing us week after week. That's just not, that's not how this is going to be able to work, because we can't continue to lose games. I get that we're in a couple year turnaround, 2 to 3 year turnaround, but losing games right now is not we need to start winning. We need to start turning around so we can start getting recruiting, and we can start, we got to start turning in the right direction if we want Rule to be able to completely rebuild this thing, as we all know. But right now it's just hard because I don't know if we necessarily feel like we have an answer at quarterback. I think that's the part that is concerning is, it's Sims was the guy that we had to put all of our eggs in the basket for this season. But now you look at what he's done, and then you look at what we have behind him. It's just, there's not a lot there. Not a lot of experience. There's talent, but it's just a tough situation to be in when you don't have a guy to go to. That was evident by the fact that they switched switched Hubbard Purdy in, and then switched Harbor back in. So, um, let's see. The backup QBs any bench tips. Yeah, this I agree because my thoughts during that game, and I'm sure as most people were, it's not going to it's not going to get worse. At that point, like no quarterback could have done worse than what Sims was doing in that first half because I mean, what's worse than dropping the snap on first down and, you know, giving up drives, driving down the field and turning the ball over in their territory. I mean, at the end of that half, that game, for all intents and purposes, Colorado should probably have had only 3 points there, if any. But like I said, it was a tale of two halves. We didn't take advantage in the first half. They took advantage in the second half, and that was the difference. And, you let's see. Dion, what's up, Dion? Yeah, well, I try to stop drinking. Yeah, well, I am trying to stop drinking the Kool-Aid, but yeah, I try not to listen to media, but some may call me a Kool-Aid drinker. I'm not a Kool-Aid drinker. Just breaking down this team and coming into this game, the game plan was there. I mean, they averaged 5.4 yards per carry, but the thing that you can predict them with us, but typically you can't predict are the turnovers going into a game breakdown. But yeah, it's you know it's going to be a hard road. Now, I think we're seeing this a little bit harder than a lot of us expected, but I think people just need to hold the brakes a little bit on roll here. It's week 2. Frost had this team for 5 years. There's a lot of stuff that has to happen in these players to break these bad habits, and they got to learn to win. That's the thing. 6 turnovers in 2 games. No, I never said I'm not sure if he should be done. But I'm saying we can't just sit here and say like he's never going to be useful. We can't just say bench him and never let him see the field. That's just not. That would be, as a coach, that would be completely, no coach is going to do that, especially to a guy that they brought in. Rule has a vested interest in him because he brought him over, and so he's going to be out there. But never say I'm not sure of if he should be benched. I was pretty clear that I think he should be benched. I just don't know if he will be. And then also that I don't know if we have a guy behind him that can come in and, we have no sure thing. So hey, what's up, Michigan, man? Nebraska defense play tough all game. Yeah, exactly. And this is kind of what I was talking about earlier with the defense playing. Like they were phenomenal. And if you look at the box score only, that's going to get lost in the fact of the score. But you can only bend so much before you break. The offense again was not extending drives, so our defense was just on the field over and over and over, and a defense just is going to wear down, especially playing in Colorado at altitude. The whole way to win that game was all winning the time of possession, and we lost the time of possession. We had to win the time of possession and not give it up on turnovers. We lost time of possession. We gave it up on turnovers. So it's hard to win, especially with a turnover differential like that. But yeah, the offense is a huge letdown, more so than any of us expected. This it's been brutal. But again, there's some stuff we're going to talk about, so we'll get more into that. Yeah, again, let him down. So not a good he's a good athlete. Yeah. You know, similar to Anthony Richardson. Of course, Anthony Richardson got better at Florida as the season went along, but you know, albeit not near as athletic or as good of a thrower as Anthony Richardson. But I'm saying just stylistically and the way the QBs are seen, he reminds me of like a watered down version of an Anthony Richardson. And I thought maybe that they would be able to scheme some guys open and stuff like that. But another factor is we just don't have a number one receiver that they feel comfortable going to. Billy Kemp is a guy who's establishing himself as a playmaker. We all knew he would be, But he can't be a one guy that you can just pepper with targets because he's a small dude and he can't be your one. We need a true alpha one receiver. It's supposed to be Marcus Washington. Isaiah Garcia Castaneda got hurt. So that was a big blow to the offense too. Yeah, it's just about getting receiver room experience and healthy. But it doesn't matter if he can't hold on the ball, he can't get it to his one receiver anyway. So that was again Trey Palmer last year was a big as we all know, majority of the reason Nebraska had offensive success last year was a lot to do with Trey Palmer. Well, of course, Anthony Grant, but in the passing game, Trey Palmer really opened that up a ton. QB situation doesn't look good. Yeah, Jackson, not at all. Appreciate you tuning in, man. Thanks for hopping on here. This one was a big one. The punter, the roughing the punter, because late in the game, on one of those, when the game was still a 2-score game, I believe, yeah, they were punting, and we were punting. Colorado just completely. I mean, the replay is brutal. He literally just went shouldered into the punter, which should have obviously automatic first down for us. No call. Like some of the stuff out there was crazy. The little push on the sideline, that personal foul. The refs were a little bit too involved today for both sides. I'm not just saying they just called stuff on us. There was too much laundry on the field the whole game. It became an officiating show because there was constant stopping and plays, and so Josh, I retweeted that punt out. I'll get it up here so you can go check it out real quick. I'll pull it up in a second, but yeah, there's some posts on Twitter of it. I'm just gonna put my handle up here in a second, but yeah, it's pretty egregious. I saw it on TV, and at first, like I was kind of like, but then when I saw the replay, it was really bad. So yes, that was bad. Wait for Daniel Kalen. Well, we got to play the games this year. I mean, Daniel Kalen's waiting in the wings, but we got to survive this one before we get to next year. And listen, we know there's going to be ups and downs, but there are going to be ups. Even last year, the year before, there were some ups, not many, but our schedule, it'll even out as we get a little bit better. 6 wins is going to be tough to come by. 6 wins is going to be very tough to come by, but that's still got to be the goal. All right. Yeah, number one in turnovers in college football. Here's my boy Martin Cheney, my co-host on Cheesy Corn Sports, podcast we do for fantasy football, and giving a shout out to my buddy Gunner in the back. So I should have put Gunner out there running back, man. Y'all wouldn't have been able to catch him. Actually, never mind, his hips hurt, so he'd be fine. But I'm curious if anybody wants to let me know, who do you think personally, who do y'all think is, by show comments, who is the quarterback that you would like to see going into next week? I'm really curious to see if it's not Sims, because we're all clear it's not Sims. Who, as a fan base, who would y'all prefer to see on the field next week? I'm really interested to see that, because me personally, I would like to see Chuba. Because we got to be able to throw the ball. And I mean, Chuba's a better thrower of the ball. Harbaught's a better runner, but our run game's not the issue right now. But Purdy, yeah, Tony White's defense has been phenomenal. The way he's been scheming defensively and moving guys around. I mean, Gifford's playing out of his mind. Omar Brown's playing out of his mind. It's just that defense is causing confusion the way it's supposed to. And TCU ran a 3-3-5 too. So it's not like Colorado wasn't prepared for it. It's just the way Tony White schemes it up. I got some of my headphones here. The way Tony White schemes it up is the reason why it's being successful, outside of of course, the fact that we're more talented. But some of these concepts he's running and some of these blitzes, like the way the pressure is getting there, we haven't seen an ability to blitz like that. Like with Chinander, it seemed like Chinander's blitzes were always getting there a half second late, half beat late. Like they would get there, but it would take them 4 seconds, and then by then the quarterback would already have the ball. These are actually pressures where we get into the quarterback and we're getting in his face. Um, but we just need a little bit of it more consistently. We need it when we're not pass rushing. We need to be able to get an edge rusher. And Ty Robinson has his moments that can get into the backfield when we're not bringing blitzes, when we're rushing 4 or 5 people. So Harburg, anybody but Sims. I figured I'd get a couple of those. Harburg running the option like they do. Harburg, I do love Harburg running the ball. That is, and the interesting wrinkle they threw in here last week with putting him in, even at a receiver spot and kind of having him come across the formation. Yeah. Yeah, with the Harburg stuff, I don't know why he didn't come in sooner. I don't know if it was a situation where Rule didn't want to necessarily run the risk of ruining his confidence, and maybe he thought bringing him LA was better, or maybe he wanted to give Sims a chance while the game was still in reach to kind of turn it around. That's all going to be answered by Rule in the press conference. So I'm just curious to see what his answers are on that. See, Kyle, on this one, I don't know if it necessarily looked better without Robinson in. I think the problem was our defense was fatigued later in the game. And so I just think our defense as a whole was just kind of worn out. I think if Ty Robinson's in there in the first half, the defense plays better than they did in this first half, if that makes sense. But yeah, guys. So we're at the Colorado Nebraska postgame live. Again, my name is Justin Adams. I am your host. I run the post games here at the Voice of College Football. I'm on the Tuesday live streams that are at 7:00 Eastern time every Tuesday. I pop onto those, and then some video content and stuff like that. I do have a podcast called Cheesy Corn Sports. If you're interested in fantasy football, I can drop that in the chat here in a little bit. Link to the channel. Cheney, if you want to drop that in there, maybe. But yeah, that's our podcast. If you enjoy fantasy football, whether it be redraft or dynasty, hop on over there. We're going live tomorrow, 2 hours before the games, just to go over, answer fantasy football, start sit questions, etc., the whole nine. So we'll get all that taken care of for you. So since your Saturday was stressful, let's hope for a stress-free Sunday. So let us help you out there with that. So, but yeah, again, I'm Justin Adams. Again, thank you everybody who's joined in here so far. We're gonna have fun with this. We're gonna try to have fun with this, and then we'll get into a little bit of what y'all want to get into here. I'll just keep it light, keep it fun, keep you on and engaged in here. So, also, I do want to give a right here, Nebraska at the Voice of College Football, MarkRogersTV. Mark Rogers, of course, hosts the Voice of College Football, his main channel. Mark has a pretty impressive operation running here with the channels that he has for all the individual teams, and now the new conference channels with the SEC and Big 12 channels. A lot of stuff coming up. The channel's live streaming constantly. You can find a stream pretty much on one of the channels at any time at the point during the day. So get over the main channel, the Voice of College Football. Subscribe over there, and then yeah, let's get back into it a little bit here. So all right, I'll get back into y'all's comments here and just see if I can get some chatter. Maybe if any of y'all have seen what's going on in the post game with the answers and stuff like that, it'd be cool. All right. Long way, what's up, man? Well, they got to do something immediately, fix turnover machine at QB position. Yeah. It's impossible to win a game like that. I don't care who we played this week. We would have lost this game. It's just, and again, like I said, I don't know if it's a case of the yips with him, if it's something that he's just kind of in his head about. Because, let's go to the team stats here. All right. Team stats for this game. So we have 16 to 23 first downs, 341 total yards to 468. Passing was the big difference, 396 to 119 for Nebraska. 9 yards per pass for Colorado. Of course, that was because of the big plays later in the game. The first half was a different story. And then penalties and turnovers. So turnovers 4-1, fumbles lost 3, all 3 Sims. Now here's some possession, right? Time of possession. 29-41 to 30-19, right? Time of possession is damn near even. First downs, I mean, outside of of course, the last few drives where our defense completely worn down, this box score would have probably been very close. The fumbles, I don't think people understand how big momentum is and losing momentum is, because teams will look, I mean, you can look at this score and say, yeah, 36-14, you know, oh, well, a couple turnovers didn't tell the whole story. A couple mistakes didn't tell the whole story. It 100% did. It was, you can't turn the ball over 3 more times than your opponent in a game that was honestly 2 scores, um, up until the very end of it, and got a little bit away from them. But you can't tell me that that doesn't matter, especially in a situation where we're in their territory and we turn the ball over, or we're just getting the ball on first down after a stop on defense. You know, it's momentum. It's like we can sit here and say like, "Oh, well, like we can transition this over and say like, well, this, you know, even if they score on those 2 drives and we don't, or we don't score on those 2 drives, you don't have those 2 turnovers, you don't score, they still win." That's not the case. It's just it's part of momentum. Momentum is, they call it Uncle Mo for a reason, right? It was even thrown into one of those NCAA college football games because momentum matters, and Nebraska does not know how to get momentum, does not know how to get rhythm. An offense without rhythm is not an offense. It's what we're seeing out there. It's discombobulated. People are in their heads. People are thinking too much. People are thinking and not playing. And when you're thinking and you're not playing, and you need to be reacting. Don't think. Let your instincts take over. He's in his head. His instincts are gone. He's in his mind. I can almost see it in his play. It's like even his feet don't look comfortable. When he's in the pocket and has time, his feet don't look comfortable. His eyes are jumping around. It's like last week he was staring down his one read. There's just so many things that need to be fixed and not a lot of time to fix it. And so when you're in a situation like that, you have to go with the next guy up. That's our only hope. Oh, with that, I don't know where that came from. That was interesting. I think I just got hacked by a UFC fan or something. So apologize about that. At least wasn't a Colorado fan. All right. Let's see. Let's get in a couple more. Yeah. I mean, I mean, Harburg was even, but I don't want to say what Harburg was doing there because just it was at the end. I try, whether he played good or bad, it was going to be hard to take anything away from that late in the game. Yeah, this is it right here. The offense was worn out because of the constant, how bad the offense was. Like I said earlier, that the Colorado drives, they were getting stops. The defense was getting stops, getting them a second, third down, fourth down, and then, you know, they'd make a mistake or something like that. They'd even extend their time out there a little bit. But then when the offense would come right back on the field after a long drive, the offense would just turn the ball over and the defense is right back out there. And so with that with that cycle, that defense is gonna get worn out, and it's not like they get worn out and they just get a chance to recover like that team is worn out. They're playing in altitude again. That is a big factor. And this was going, like I said in the video of the preview, this was going to be a battle of attrition, right? And that's what it was. They won the battle of attrition because their game plan, they implemented their game plan and they played disciplined football and they didn't make mistakes. We didn't play discipline, we made mistakes. That was the difference. Um, oh, is that what he said? Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can see it out there when they're playing. You can, it's clear as day. You know, even their reactions after the play, Bullock, you know, I feel like Bullock put almost like he was like, I have to catch this ball, and then he just laid there for a second, like, I can't believe I just dropped that ball. They are so much in their heads right now, which is not good because, you know, that is part of the problem under Frost. And the thing with the new coach coming in here is to try to free these guys of that mindset and get them in a right mindset, and then eventually start stringing some of these wins together. But you can't have them getting into their own heads under the new coach. Rule needs to show, over the next few weeks, that this is the difference. This is going to be the difference between Rule and Frost and success versus not success. If Rule doesn't come out, or let me just start with Frost. With Frost, he never held these guys accountable. So the mistakes continued and they piled up and they piled up. He never wanted to bench Martinez. He didn't want to play talent over his guys. And that's where Rule needs to step in. And yes, he held Grant accountable for the fumble, but we need a consistent standard across, right? If we're holding Grant accountable and not letting him carry one time for fumbling last game, and you have a quarterback that has 6 turnovers and had 6 turnovers in 6 quarters, that logic to me right there, that's another thing I need to know is why is Sims getting these reps too? But yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's just thinking and not reacting. And me and Chancellor talked about in our video. Speaking of, Chancellor was potentially going to stop through, but he was at the game, so I'm not 100% sure if he's going to be able to. But yeah, Chancellor Brewington from formerly, on the Huskers. He might start stopping in on occasion on post games and stuff like that. He's going to hit me up when he gets back from the game, see if he's going to hop on here with us later, and he might have some other insight as well. Neutral from here. Hey, what's up, Matt? Yeah, this is my buddy Matt. He has a shop. His wife is from Senegal. It's called Senegal and Beyond. So I just want to give a shout out to him. He hopped in here with me and or with us and wants to hop on and give his Arizona perspective. He is a Nebraska trash talker though. Neutral fan here. I don't know how you guys went from making them look like amateurs first just collapsing. Yeah, kind of what we talked about. Just that same old thing. Started to run the ball. I don't know why they stopped. Well, that one was a game flow decision. You can't continue to run the ball when you're playing from behind, like and can't get no rhythm on offense. The problem was even when our runs did get stopped, they knew we had to throw, so they forced us into that. So they began to stop the runs on first and second, force us to throw, and then we couldn't complete a pass. So our offensive game would never get into rhythm. If we would have came out and established a run game and we would have got up, that would have continued to be the case. But credit to Colorado, they came out there and they implemented the game plan and they played disciplined football in the first half, and that made the difference. Well, first and second, but yeah, Rule King. After fan, I want to say Nebraska ran it well the first half. Once they adjusted, it just went all that down the drain. Yeah, yeah. I think we're all kind of the same notion there. Like again, kind of like I put in the beginning. If y'all weren't here in the beginning, but the way I put it in the beginning is Colorado and Nebraska played. All right, so Nebraska played like Colorado did in the second half and the first half. So the difference was when Colorado gave Nebraska opportunities, we didn't capitalize. We didn't take advantage. We actually gave them more opportunities. When Colorado started taking over the game, we couldn't force those mistakes. We couldn't stop them. And so our mistakes in the first half, the turnovers, that's what led to when Colorado was making mistakes. That's what led to us not being able to capitalize and Colorado just dominating the second half. When you dominate a second half like that, after we've given them the ball 3 times in their territory, it's a bad day. And we were just hoping that for once we can kind of get it back to, that this might be an opportunity to just kind of change the narrative. But I think a lot of us kind of felt in that game that it's, it might be more of an uphill battle than we thought. It might take a little longer than we thought, but like I said, I'm always here to support my boys. Like regardless, win or lose, I'm not going to trash anybody. I'm not going to trash them. I love watching, my Huskers, man. Even though they put me through this and put us through this, but yeah, Pelini. Nah, Pelini was a great coach, and I think this all goes back to Frank Solich. We never should have fired Frank Solich. Frank Solich got fired for having 9 wins too. That was the big deal. But we're not going to talk about that. Sims might be the worst we could be. So, all right. Yeah, my take on it was Sims that was actually playing better defense in the first half than Colorado was, but he was playing defense on Nebraska, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, All right, guys, I did want to bring up something here real quick. We have a sponsor here at the Voice of College, a new sponsor at the Voice of College Football. It is Ticket Smarter, as we all saw in the game well, the lead up into the game today, that ticket prices are crazy, especially when everything gets hyped up going into it. So, if you want to save on your trip, save on your next trip with Ticket Smarter, 10% off or $10 off an order of $100 by using the promo code BIG. You can see it there at the bottom. Or get $20 off an order of 300 or more using promo code BIG20, and use the promo code as much as you like. It's very competitive prices. You know, it's a secondary market just like the rest of them. Purchases are safe and guaranteed. I've used them. I used them twice before. Yeah, get in the game with ticketsmarter.com and get to the mobile app, and get in the game with Ticketsmarter. Very, 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 very helpful, especially in games like that where the ticket prices were what 500 plus. But yeah, get over there for that and save on some tickets. It's free to use and saves you $10. So, all right, we'll get back more into it a little bit here, back at the post game. And I just want to dive into a little bit of Colorado stats. I went into ours a little bit, but let me just get into, see if I can find this here, and then maybe even see if I can pull up some of the stuff that's being talked about in the press conference. But um, this is what we need. Hold on. Box score, game pass, recap. All right, cool. So, Shadir Sanders, 393 yards, 31 to 42. Great game. Highly efficient game. Dylan Edwards, 9 carries, 55 yards. I mean, as a team, Colorado averaged 1.8 yards per carry. This is what I was talking about coming into this game. We averaged 5.4. They averaged 1.8. There is a recipe there that we cannot execute because of these turnovers. And it's frustrating because now people just think the team overall is bad, and it's unfortunate because there's a lot of good talented kids on this team. Um, but I don't think people I just think people underestimate how big some of these mistakes are and how much they compound. Xavier Weaver, 10 receptions, 170 yards. Weaver was very, very difficult to see, and that was actually surprising. Oh man, hold on, I gotta mute this. Sorry, I got a ad playing there. Um, 396 yards, 12.4 yards receiving average. Okay, so not only were they, of course, averaging 8 yards a reception, they were also getting 3, 4 yards after the catch. And that was another thing, too. They tackled very well. Colorado did. And we tackled very well in the beginning. But late in the game, when we started to get fatigued, that faded. And it was just like, man, I think it's hard for the defense to just kind of like get out there and just get fired up every single time when they're like, it's just one of those things you hope it doesn't cause any friction in the locker room between offense and defense, but um, it's rough. Using the altitude as a reason for the low. Well, okay, so I'll put it to you this way: altitude does make a difference. I am an athlete, and altitude does make a huge impact on fatigue. It's one of the main talking points that was coming into this game from both sides. So altitude isn't a reason for a loss. I never said that was. I've said turnovers were the reason for the loss, not altitude. Unless you were talking to somebody else. I apologize if you're talking to somebody else, but no, that was it was 100% turnovers. Um, let the fans choose the next code. No, let's not. Can we not like fire a rule yet as a fan base? Can we just like, I understand patience is hard. Patience is thin right now, but it's tough. I get it. Um, all right, guys. So yeah, if y'all have okay, sorry, Kyle. I appreciate appreciate you clarifying there because I was like, hold on, it's Kyle. He knows his stuff. So, um, but yeah. All right, we'll get into it. Thanks again, Matt, for hopping in here. Let me. I didn't want to pull this up, but we'll pull it up. All right, guys. Has anybody gotten any of the press conference, stuff? I'm gonna try to pull that up because I'm curious to see if we can answer some of these questions via what's going on in the, post post-game press conference. Um, so I'm gonna pull that up here. I see a whole lot of fire, everybody. Um, Everyone's gonna be as they should, upset and panic, Nebraska, but we're better than we're showing. That's kind of what I alluded to earlier, we are better than what we're showing, talent-wise. Play-wise, no, because we're doing it. But the only way to keep us from panicking is the problem I think is we don't feel like that part of this team has gotten better. But we know the defense, we know the special teams have gotten better, but the offense has gotten worse. And the turnovers have not changed. The good news is it's coming from one player. If we switch out that one player, that should be a recipe for disaster. But coming into this game, the whole mindset on it was TCU, right? Was TCU's probably got maybe the 40th, 50th best roster as far as talent goes, because they did have a ton of turnover on that last year's team. So going into this game, the reason we thought the game plan would work, well, the reason we came up with the game plan we did, and the reason that they got into the heavy sets in the beginning and stuff like that was just because TCU um, wasn't very good defensively. Their quarterback was, and I said their quarterback was missing throws. Well, he was also making throws, which is what we didn't do. But the interesting thing to me is the fact that Colorado was able to, go in there and survive against a bad TCU team. I'm not gonna say bad. I'm just in comparison to last year's TCU team, because they had lost a ton of talent. But for them to go and play that game, and then the way they did, the way they punch back, and then honestly come out here and dominate us the way they did, it just makes you kind of wonder, what is it that rule that's just kind of unsettling, right? Because Colorado was in worse shape than Nebraska. One win, and that team was nothing. And the fact that they've turned that around quickly is a question in my mind of, is it sustainable? Is the turnaround there quicker but not sustainable, or is it quick and sustainable? Because the rule process is going to have to be this slow 2-3 year build. And I think that's a little unsettling for us, because it's like, well, we look over there, and that team that was in obviously worse shape than us last year has been able to do this. But that also raises the question, was the culture at Colorado and was the self-inflicted wounds this bad? It just it's if you think about it critically, it's really hard to discern what is causing the difference in these trajectories for the two universities. Is it because we're so entrenched in, you know, making these bad habits, making these bad mistakes, and Colorado wasn't, that it's quicker to turn a roster around when you don't have to unbreak those bad habits? Um, Sanders is 400. I think he had 396, but that's passing. Yeah, he had rushing though. Yeah, true. Yeah, that's another thing too. Is just Shadur was very slippery back there. It was like our defenders can't take. We need to get better pursuit angles at the quarterback, because the way we're doing it right now, running straight at him, he's able to slip up, slip left, slip back, slip. You know, you got to contain the quarterback. Like I said last week, we didn't even contain Kalikamakis last week. We got to be able to contain the quarterback in, and if you funnel him one direction, you need to cut that off. Don't chase him. Don't over pursue, and get help. Just try to break down, get in front of him, and get help. We're just over pursuing. I think we're trying too much to make a big play. We're not just getting to him and getting him down. Nebraska's D-balled out. Yeah, that's kind of been the theme here with that, is just Nebraska be better. All right, so here we go. We got one Chuba. QB Sims playing tailback. Sims is no QB. Man, with Sims, the way Sims holding on the ball right now, I don't want him at tailback either. But I get what you're saying. He's a big body dude, right? And he can run. He can run. Um, but I do agree with the Chuba take. I do believe Chuba probably gives us the best shot to win. Um, and against Northern Illinois, we whatever quarterback rolls out there, this needs to be a game where we get the guy out there that we want to go with going forward, because this is a confidence building game, because we can't Northern Illinois, we can't have somebody come out and play Northern Illinois and start another quarterback, in the Michigan game. It's just whoever comes out in this next game and establishes himself, that has to be the guy going forward. That's the only way we're going to be able to figure this out, because right now, like I said, we can't point to any one guy and say this guy's better than him. We can't do it with any of the three guys. We can't. And coming to the season, we wanted to be able to point to Jeff Sims and be like, you're the guy, but we have talent here just in case. But not be in a situation right now where we're talking about benching him already. And little banged up. I'm not sure what came to be of that. I'm not sure if there's any update on what he hurt, or kind of how hurt maybe he might have been, even if he's going to be 100% for next week. But if he's not 100%, you definitely cannot start him. That takes away his only strength. So yeah, doesn't constantly get points to the opponent. Yeah. And this one right here was interesting. We could easily be 2-0 if we kept Casey. With the Casey comparison, right? This is what I think people just get a little bit too in the habit of doing. Like, for instance, with Casey, Casey had Trey Palmer too. And if you look at highlights of Nebraska's team last year, or you watch the games, a lot of the scoring that we did, and a lot of the close games, and a lot of the games we won, basically majority of our offense was Trey Palmer, outside of the run game, of course. And Anthony Grant had a great year, but we know Trey Palmer was Casey Thompson's safety net, right? So who's to say that if Sims, had Trey Palmer week one, that our offense would have looked that bad? Or if we had a field stretcher like Trey Palmer, like that could have made two big plays, and that's a whole different game. So to me, I have a hard time trying to compare Sims to Casey. I just don't think we're ever going to be able to do a fair comparison based on just throwing ability. I know fumbles and stuff like that, of course, like in that case, of course, but Casey did throw a lot of interceptions too, but it was very inconsistent. But again, I don't think there's any fair way to compare those two when they got completely different offenses and completely different. One of them had a clear number one guy that is now in the NFL. My light almost killed me, guys. I just saw it. Luckily, it got caught on my screen. Whoa, that was crazy. Saw my light flash before my eyes. I kind of forgot what I was talking about, but yeah. So yeah, I that comparison's hard for me, but because I think if Trey Palmer's out there, this team looks completely different too, even with the drops. Yeah, high ankle sprain, mid high ankle sprain, or mild. Sorry, I said Chuba's been dinged up. Harbor's number 2. Okay, that makes sense then, because I was wondering why Chuba came in and then came right back out. So that must have been what it was. It must have been that he was a little bit banged up, and yeah, not ideal either, because man, mild ankle sprain. Ankle sprains aren't no joke. Those aren't easy to come back from a mobile quarterback. Ankle sprains take weeks to heal. I had a grade 2 ligament tear in my right ankle, and it's still not healed, and that was over a year ago. And if they run him out there next week, they run the risk of that re-aggravating, and then it's going to get a lot worse. So maybe the writing is on the wall there that we might be able to see a Harburg start next week. And I think we would all at least be open to that. It would give us something to look forward to, because right now it's hard, because, Northern Illinois is a get right game, but do you feel good about beating a Northern Illinois? Assuming we'll beat them, but do you feel you don't gain a ton of confidence in that. You may get a little bit of rhythm, but it's got to be what they take from it. But yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's what it was. Is Nebraska's game plan was literally to win the battle of the trenches, wear down their defensive front seven, and just try to establish that run game. But to do that, you have to get a lead. You have to be able to control the game. If you're losing the game, you can't then control the game and say, I'm going to run the ball. You don't decide what you get to do at that point. You have to run the offense based on the situation. And so for people saying that, like, well, they were supposed to run the ball and all over them and tire them out. And well, we averaged 5.4 yards per carry, but there's also a lot to the game that people don't understand, that game plans matter. And it's very easy to get taken out of your game plan. You can't just sit there and be like, well, this is the game plan, I'm going to stick to it. That's where adjustments are made. And fortunately, our team isn't built for the adjustments that we had to make to the passing game. I also don't see a ton of creativity in the passing game, I feel like, but that could be also because, like we said earlier, the guys that are thinking so much that you don't want to overcomplicate things. If we can't get the basics right, then how are we supposed to break out of the vanilla schemes? It's just not something that it's next week is very much needed. The Northern Illinois game is very much needed. I did say I'd felt better, coming out and losing. I don't want to say better. I felt like the team learned more coming out losing to Minnesota than they would have coming out and beating, a scrub 38-0 week one. However, that is meaning if we make the improvements that we didn't seem to make. So Northern Illinois will be one of those games that I feel like we need now, and probably would have been better off having week one, because until we establish a rhythm on offense, at some point, it's going to keep being like this. That has to be the game we do it in. Has to be. So re-aggravate it and then won't. All right. So I can't. All right. So I try my best, right, to avoid like hopefully he's hurt, like just as a respect thing, At the end of the day, they're kids, man, and they're college kids, and I don't want to make it personal towards them. I don't want to wish injury on them. I'll criticize their play, but yeah, I honestly don't think he'll be ready with a mild ankle sprain. If he is, it won't be healed. It's not going to heal in a week. That's just not how those work. Sims score. Yeah, that's what I said in the first half. Sims was playing offense and defense for them. That was pretty cool of him. He's a pretty nice guy. He wanted to help Dion out and send the fans home happy. Good for him. No, I'm just playing. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any comments here. See if there's any questions that I missed or anything. Patience is hard of what Dion is doing right away. I think Rule will have long-term success. Kyle, yeah, sorry I missed this, but this is exactly what I was alluding to earlier is Dion's in a situation right now where he has his son playing for him, two sons playing for him, and his son is an extremely good quarterback, and he is Travis Hunter, of course. But that might be the best QB situation he'll ever have. I mean, honestly, like, it's your kid that you've coached from this big all the way up, and you've been with him. And he wanted to turn that team around quickly for that reason. And because with Colorado, I think Colorado's a school that needs that polarization to get recruits. I don't think Colorado's a university that can slowly build, because they don't have the brand, the history, and all those things. So I think they do need the polarization of a head coach hire like Dion. And I don't think Nebraska does. And I think Nebraska can do the long rebuild because they have a brand, money, and all that. And that gets recruits. I think it's two separate situations, and each did what they needed to do at their specific university, because now Dion's going to get recruiting because of this. And that was just kind of like they were the perfect coach for the specific university situation. So for people to say that Nebraska messed up by not hiring Dion, I disagree. I don't think Dion would have been a good fit here. I think Rule is going to be a good fit here. I think Rule is going to be successful. I have zero doubt in my mind about Rule. Zero. So yeah, exactly. But I like Nebraska fans, I do understand our frustration, because when you lose this many games in the manner in which we lose them, and Frost was supposed to turn around over time, I think Frost really screwed us in that regard, because Frost ruined our patience. We were patient for Frost. We were overly patient for Frost. And now I think the fans are burned. So I don't think it's any fault of the fans. I think the fans have been burned by that because they were told to exercise patience. Welcome back, buddy. Oh, he's leaving. Never mind. It's backwards in my camera. Um, bye. But damn, what I was talking about. But oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, just we were told to exercise patience during Frost's entire time, 5 years. And so it's hard when we're seeing a lot of the same things to sit here and be like, we need to exercise patience. But we do have to understand that, like, let's think about where we were with Frost at week 2. You know, we were all in the same, give him time. He was still the guy, right? I flew out to the game when we played Minnesota and we were 0-6. That was his first win against Minnesota. And the crowd was still electric and into it. We can't fault Matt Rule for that. Matt Rule still needs time, and I think that's where the line's getting blurred there, honestly. So that is, yeah, that's tough, man. It's tough to constantly sit here and try to tell people that, because for all intents and purposes, they have every right to question why, they have every right to question why they still being told to be patient and stuff like that. But it's tough, and that's why it's just like we got to stick to what we're seeing on the film. We got to stick to what we're seeing, and try to just look at it from a microscopic perspective and try to see what we're doing in the games. And when we look at it a little bit more in depth, that we're not doing. Matt Rule made an interesting comment last week about, um, I'm sorry, I apologize. I just had something fall off here. Okay, sorry. Um, yeah, Matt Rule alluded to that last week. But it's Matt Rule, for if you listen to the man talk, and we were drinking the Kool-Aid all offseason because you saw what he brought to this team. We saw that he was bringing, he was getting the social media involved, getting the fans involved and stuff like that. I don't want the fans to get too far away from supporting that because, again, if he's active on social media, the players are active on social media, and I think Matt Rule understands the reason for the fan base's impatience. Like he said, in the press conference today, he expects the reaction that we're having. But again, I just think we need to focus on the X's and O's. And like he said in the press conference last week, the plays are there to be made. They just, as a coaching staff, have to show them where those plays are. And it's, in my opinion, it's not Matt Rule's fault that Jeff Sims is dropping these snaps because he's not doing it in practice. It's not something we've heard about in practice. And we heard about Anthony Grant's fumbling issues. And so that leads me to believe that the only mistake Rule made there was probably leaving him in too long. However, I'm sure he has an explanation for that. But we can't just pack it in for the year. We have to look at the little details of what we did well and what we can still improve on. And we need to use that to show our gradual growth. As fans, it's hard. It's hard to just sit here week after week and do this, but um, there are things that we're going to be able to point at to say that we did this well. That Alvano field goal, that was brutal. Alvano, true freshman, coming in that situation, that's tough. 45-yarder and hits the post and bounces out. That's one thing I do want to highlight is I haven't felt as confident in the kicker as I do as Alvano. Reason being is because the kid's super talented, right? And when we were missing field goals the last few years, they were egregiously bad. That one might have been a little bit of nerves coming in his first game, but I'm talking about, like, we were missing extra points regularly. That lost us a lot of games, not being able to kick field goals, we had to go for it on fourth down a ton. And I don't know if y'all remember, but Frost even had like an open tryouts for a kicker. Um, That is going to serve us well going in. So that is a positive, and of course, our defense is a positive. Our defense is still a positive. They just got worn out today. So 2 of the 3 position groups are better, right? The result is different, but the majority of what we're doing this year is better than what it was last year. So that's kind of the reason why I think people just need to look at it a little bit more microscopically and see it for what it is, because if you could have told me that our defense was going to improve and be as good as they are right now, I would have taken that all day. Now our offense regressed more than we thought they would have, but as long as, I mean, we're pointing at one position and one player right now to say that it doesn't seem to be everybody making all these mistakes. It seems to be, a couple people in their head about it. The Irvin fumble again. It's hard to put that all on Irvin. It's a combined effort there on that mesh concept, but I still think that's on Irvin to. Um, I think that one was a little bit more on Irvin. Just watching it the way it went down up close, I think they jumped on Sims for that one, but wanted to trust roll after leaving QB for 6 2 games. Broke trust. Yeah, so again, it's hard for me to talk about this because I really want to, and I really want to say, you know, and criticize him for that. I just want to hear the man out and see what his thought process was, because Chuba, now we're finding out Chuba was banged up, and we didn't know he was banged up. Um, and so was it something where he just didn't feel like he had a guy behind him that he was confident in? Was he not confident enough in Harburg? I don't know. Because now it's clear that Chuba was out, or Chuba was unable to be 100%. So thinking about it like that, he has 2 quarterbacks to work with. So that does put a coach in a really, really tough spot, extremely tough spot. But yeah, so I want to get my socials up here, or my Twitter up here for y'all, so I can interact with y'all there too. I'll pull it up here just a second. But it's got to type it in here. A good multitasker. I'm working on it though, guys. I think it's this. Don't quote me. I better double check first. All right, yeah. I'm sorry, I don't know so I just made this Twitter, right, y'all. I don't or X, whatever it is now. I wasn't a Twitter guy before, but I'm on there now. So I'll drop this here too, so that way y'all know where to find me. The H Town Husker on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. We talk ball there all the time. If y'all want to pop on there, give me a follow, and I'll update y'all with stuff like this and uploads and stuff that we're working on the channel and stuff like that. And then, all right, we're gonna get Carlos out of here. That's completely unnecessary. All right, Carlos, you're never going to be allowed back in here. Congratulations, buddy. You just earned yourself timeout. I can multitask and see that stuff. I apologize. If anybody had to see what he just left there, I apologize. That was extremely offensive. So I do want to apologize for that. I got it out of here as quick as I could. But if you want to follow me there, the underscore H Town Husker. Again, I am the co-host of a podcast called Cheesy Corn Sports, where me and my buddy Martin Cheney go over fantasy football. We do live streams, go over fantasy football and stuff like that. So if y'all have any interest in getting over there, if you want to partake in that, get over there and subscribe. If you're interested in Dynasty though, or if you're interested in fantasy. Adam, I appreciate it if you just kind of the language a little bit, man. But yeah, so get over there to Cheesy Corn Sports, and again, I'll drop that in the chat here in a little bit for y'all. But let me get back to kind of what people are saying on this game and see if I can see what Matt Rule's talking about. And what we're talking about on the QB situation. That is going to be the thing, is because I know a lot of questions had to have been asked to him about, why some of the decisions were made. Because again, too, like, A lot of us aren't blaming Satterfield because I don't think it's Satterfield's problem. I'm gonna delete this comment. All right, cool. You're in timeout, buddy. You've yeed your last haul. Sorry, guys. I'm just kind of a clown sometimes. Um, so not a whole lot. I'm not seeing a whole lot on here right now. I don't want to take up too much time trying to do this. Just I'm trying to get some answers. Okay, so everyone's gonna be so it's still the same thing. It's just we have one major issue. We have one major issue, one glaring issue right now. And with the fumbles of Urban and Grant, right? I get that those are there, right? But when you can point to one thing on the field, and again, I'm trying not to just say one player, one name, but if you can point to one thing on the field, that probably was the difference in you winning and losing both of these games. Okay. If we look at it like that, then I think it's a little bit easier to grasp that this loss and take this loss in. I honestly do, because you got to look at it objectively like that to have any reasonable, articulable. Oh man, it's hacking me here. I don't know why that keeps happening. I think again, I think USC fans hacking me, but yeah, we gotta look at it, and I'm just trying to like exercise caution for Husker fans. I'm trying to be, give y'all some perspective into why we need to just next week's focus needs to be on who is going to be the starting quarterback, not worry about this game, right? Because it is it is one or two simple things that we need to get right. And it may be as simple as just swapping that player out for another one. And if it is that simple, the defense still played phenomenal. Special teams still played phenomenal. We averaged over 5 yards per carry. Our offensive line looks better than it did last year. Defensive pressures, we're getting defensive pressures. Now, we do need to work our defensive line. We still need a little bit more pass rush off the edge. And when we're not blitzing, but so much is going right. And so we're acting like the goal is here and we're here. It's more so this, right? Because overall, we're not making a ton of mistakes penalty wise. Offensive line penalties, of course, right? But that sideline penalty, that personal foul, that was bogus. That was weak. A lot of we're not getting a lot of PIs, not a lot of defensive holdings. And if y'all remember correctly, last year, anytime I felt like we got to stop on third down on a must pass down, that our defense would, hold or pass interference, and it'd be automatic first down every single time. I felt like it was like clockwork. So the defensive penalties have been cut down to a minute. I mean, if we look over here, right, I would love to go peep back at some last year's games and see, because for all intents and purposes, penalty wise, right, Nebraska had, I think it was eight. Was it 8 or 6 penalties? Let me get to the box score here. Let's see. All right, pull it up here, big. Because the penalties like have improved too, which means discipline is there. The discipline is improving. Penalties, right here. So we had 6 penalties for 40 yards. Okay. And so if we looked at like, let's go last year. If we look at last year, let's just peek into a random game here. Let's go with this. Okay, more penalties there. More penalties there. I'm gonna check one more. Whoops. And more penalties there. So I just checked 3 games. All 3 games I checked that we had more penalties in those previous games than we had today. Again, that can't be understated. So what was our deficiencies last year? Penalties, turnovers, the self-inflicted wounds, punting to the wrong side of the field, not being able to kick field goals, no consistency on offense. Okay. Turnovers, no consistency on offense. Those are the two that we still have. Defense improved, turnovers are improved so far. It is getting better. Okay. Understand that it is getting better, which is why I wanted to come in here with a little bit of optimism for y'all and maybe just help y'all out just a little bit. Again, I did want to put out Mark Rogers' main channel. So Mark Rogers TV at the voice of college football. The main voice of college football. Again, the operation that Mark has going on is he has individual team channels, conference channels, etc. And one of those channels is streaming it seems like almost around the clock. There's an after dark show where people can call in, anybody can call in. And so get on over there to Mark Rogers TV and Mark Rogers at the voice of college football and tune into what he has going on over there. A lot of good stuff and a lot of good stuff coming down the hatch for y'all. All right. Penalties, false start costs us. So yes, what I'm saying is the improvement from last week to this week, right? From last year to this year, from last week to this week. The false starts, the offensive line penalties, yeah, that was our kryptonite last year. But again, all right, we're gonna slowly have to work those things out. The defensive penalties have stopped. We're not making mistakes on special teams. We're not, the penalties for us used to be an all around the team thing. It was just timing, right? It seems like those have been cut down significantly, and we'll see if that continues. Of course, it's hard to say if it's a trend until we see it consistently, but it is something we can point to that say that it improved. But Colorado actually had more penalties than us. We had 6. Colorado had 9. So yes, while they hurt us, they also had more than us. So that wasn't the difference here. Minnesota, I get it, yes, but what you want to see is you want to see an improvement week over week, right? And they did improve week over week. So yeah, exactly, Gabriel nailed it. I think they had 90 yards of penalty. Let me see, I just had it up. I forget how many yards of penalties they had, but it was worse than us. They had more penalties than us, and I still think they had a little too much laundry out on the field for both sides. But yeah, so looking at an objective like that, we got a kicker. We have a special teams unit that uses starters now and actually has a coach. Defense looks phenomenal. I don't need to speak no more on that. We already see how our defense is looking and getting better. Turnovers at the QB spot. That is the big thing right now. That is the difference between us winning and losing. Difference between us being 2-0 and 0-2. So we're okay. We're going to be okay. This game also takes on a lot of emotion because of what it turned into. It turned into this perfect storm of, Prime coming in, Colorado first home game, all the pomp and circumstance. All of these things make this game hurt a little bit more, but let's just try to look at it with an objective lens, man. Let's just try to keep the hope alive, and we're gonna keep rooting for this team every week, So let's try to support them as much as we can, criticize their play and stuff like that, but understand that we are better. We are better than last year, and as the season goes on, I think a lot of people will start to see that. So, all right, guys. Well, I don't think Chancellor was able to get back in time. So yeah. But does anybody have any questions? I'm probably going to conclude this within the next 10 minutes. I'll run back through y'all's questions or anything y'all may have, or anything that you want me to touch on. I'm going to pop back over. The reason I want to leave it up a little bit longer is I want to pop back over here and see if I can find anything else on Twitter. I can get y'all some answers on something. I do see that they're still calling this personal. We get it. Which that I didn't mind. I don't mind players leading into the rivalry. That makes it more fun, But it's bad when at this point I would take Spencer Petras at quarterback. I never thought I'd say that. Actually hurts that I said that. I pretend I didn't. Yeah, it's just I think right now it's hard for us to get excited for the games coming up, and I think that hurts because we had so much hype coming into the season. But um, you know, Matt Rule right here. I think we're better than we're showing, but what does that mean? That's just words. I told the team we're going to get this right. One thing I will say about Matt Rule is Matt Rule owns it. Um, he's never going to put it on the players. Never going to imply it's on the players. And I just think we need to give him some time. I think everybody needs to kind of lay off him because he's saying the things he needs to say, which hopefully indicates that he means he'll do the things he needs to do. Because Frost didn't give us a lot of answers on anything. Frost seemed like he didn't want to be there half the time. But all we have is Matt Rule, and we have to just hold hope in him going forward. And I have faith that he'll get it right. You know, when Rule went into Carolina, he told them it was going to be like a 7-year kind of deal. Well, they let him go immediately, right? Matt Rule, for what he is, has never been a turning around year one guy. Has never even been major improvement year one. It's been 2 wins to 5, 2 wins to 6, so we're looking at hopefully a 3, 4 win to 5 or 6 here. Years 2 and 3. If we're struggling in year 3, if we're still making these mistakes in year 3, or if we're not improved on these by year 2 or even later this year rather, but you get what I'm saying. Then we can start to be concerned. But we say it every time a coach comes in. He's got to get his recruits in there. He's got to get his players in there. He's got to get his structure in there. He's got to get his people in there. He's got to get everything established in there. That's still taking place. Matt Rule has not been a head coach at the University of Nebraska very long. Exercise some patience here, guys. And it seems to run the bench. Oh, I already said I think we should bench him. I already said I thought we should bench him coming out next week. Yeah. No, I made that clear. I've said that a bunch here. I think we need to roll out Chuba Purdy, but if Chuba Purdy's not 100%, then Harburg should be the guy. It has to be. There's just no possible way, especially if he's not 100%, there's 0% chance that he needs to be thrown out there because there's about a 10% chance he needs to be thrown out there if he's 100%. Rule and Satterfield both said Sims is a passing quarterback first, can also run. Just hoping you figure it out. He is. I mean, if you look at Georgia Tech, he did throw more than he ran. He just didn't throw it very well. I don't know if he's necessarily I wouldn't call him a passing first or run first quarterback. I think he's a quarterback who just needs plays drawn up to work. I don't think he's very good when he starts. I don't think he's very good with his decision making. He's not quick in his decision making. And again, I think he's thinking too much out there. It's like he's getting the ball here, and it's almost like he's hesitating every time he wants to go throw, and it's causing him to miss throws. It's causing these terrible interceptions. I just think we could throw Harburg in there. Harburg is a guy who can also run, but he can pass. The dude's got an arm on him. Harburg has an arm. He just needs to get accuracy. He needs to get a lot more accurate with the deep ball. But Harburg to me would be a seamless transition because, like I said, he's athletic. He can move. He can fit into a lot of the schemes that they want Jeff Sims to do. And Terry, yes, he does stare down the receivers. That was last week. Very clear. The problem is there's not a receiver to stare down right now. We don't have a one guy. We don't have a true one right now. So even when he's staring down a guy, he's limiting us so much. If we had a Trey Palmer, I wouldn't mind him staring down a guy. But these are things that should have been coached into him as a quarterback way before. And now we're in a situation where we're trying to break a habit of a quarterback staring down his receivers in his last year playing in college, I believe. That's stuff that you can't fix over the course of the season. That's the stuff that needs to be fixed coming into the season. The stuff that can be fixed over the course of the season is schemes, trying to limit the amount of fumbles, fixing those little errors that come from not necessarily his lack of ability, but from him being in his head about it and just needing to kind of break some of these, these habits that are causing him. But when it comes to just the basics of throwing the football and like looking away a defensive back, that's when we start to get concerned because it's the nature of like what needs improvement. And if we're at that point, we can't focus on trying to not trying to have him not stare down his number one receiver, but also trying to work on his fumbling, right? It has to be one or the other. That's the problem. We can't work on his fumbling if we need to work on his throwing mechanics and his it's it's tough right now. And it's tough right now. I'm trying to keep it nice, but it's tough. And Harburg needs to if Chuba's hurt, Startberg. That's what we can call him. Heinrich Startberg next week. All right. Defense is legit. QB killed you guys today. Yeah. The turnovers were the game. The turnovers were the game. The turnovers are what the reason why Nebraska wasn't winning in the first half. If Nebraska is going into that half with a lead instead of giving Colorado momentum, going into half 13-0, it's a different game. That's what I alluded to early with the momentum, right? It's a different game. Momentum is the difference maker. Just sitting here saying, well, it's a couple turnovers, 37 or 36 to whatever. That's not like I get that you can't account for an exact quantity that momentum plays, but to the casual fans that just acting like that doesn't matter, that's absurd to me. Completely absurd to me. Gets beat regularly. Yep. Unfortunately. Bone leg corn fed. I hate that you're right there, bud. But I appreciate coming. Saw today Colorado. Tony out. Pause. Sorry. That was weird. What I saw today. Oh, sorry. Colorado gets smoked by UC and Oregon. Oh, without a doubt. Are you kidding me? No shot. To me, I still think Colorado loses. Colorado, for all intents and purposes, talent-wise, should not have won today. Again, we saw why they did. But when it comes to USC and Oregon, those teams are playing well, and those teams are getting better. And they're good. I mean, they're very good right now. That would not even be a game. I don't think they can even remotely come close to competing with USC, Oregon, or any teams like that for that matter. I still think that they're gonna start to wear down a little bit, over time and stuff like that. But I have to give Colorado credit where it's due. What they're doing now was unexpected. So if they lose those games, right, they're supposed to. But they've surprised me so far in weeks 1 and 2 with what they've done, and I don't take anything away from them. I give them a ton of credit for that, man. They deserve it. I mean, they deserve it. They came in here and they beat us today. I get we pointed turnovers and stuff like that, and we did in a lot of ways give the game to them, but they still had to make the plays, and they made plays. So we can't take that away from them. So I know it hurts to say because it's Colorado, but like I was telling people, I was like, I got no issue with Prime. We just don't like Colorado, and he just happened to become the face of Colorado, in my opinion. I don't necessarily have a big issue with him. Still got a season to play. Exactly. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, we're lot of season left. A lot of time to prove it. Yeah, Terry. We're gonna see plenty of the days still. No. I didn't say they're not very good. Hold on. Let's back the truck up. They're good. I don't think they're going to be able to compete with teams like that yet. That's just the nature of the beast. They're not good enough for that yet. That you got to remember, USC has taken time to get where they're at. Oregon has taken time to get back where they're at. It's taking nothing away from Colorado. I just don't think they have the depth because Prime hasn't been there long enough. I don't think he's had enough time to recruit depth. It's one of those things that I just think that they only have 68 scholarship players. Those other teams have well over that. So they have the depth and they have more talent in their depth positions, and that's going to cause them to lose the battle of attrition to most of these teams. But give it a couple, 3 years, and maybe Dion has his depth in there and has his 1, 2, 3 deep on the depth chart, and he's in a much better situation, if that makes sense. So, no, I give complete credit where it's due. Again, I have been 100% thoroughly impressed. I thought they would be 0-2, and I'm wrong, and I will admit that. And I have no issue admitting when I'm wrong. I'm just giving what I'm given and using that to make a fair assessment based on what I've seen, and that's what I'm doing. And so, yeah, I mean, credit to them for that. Um, yeah, we got that a lot. We got that a lot here today. But yeah, 3 years. Oh, I don't know what we're talking about here. I'm sorry, I forgot. I don't know what context that was, so I apologize about that. But yeah. All right, guys. Well, it's been about an hour and a half. Oh, okay, Colorado fan. Gotcha. Well, hey, I respect your opinion. You have a right to that, man. But I think y'all are gonna win some games this year. Gonna win more than I thought they would. But just from being a college football fan and college football throughout history, there is a process to being a top team and consistently being a top team. It's not as easy as coming out winning weeks 1 and 2 against TCU and a Nebraska team that can't get out of their own way. They're not going to be able to beat the Oregons and the USCs just yet. They're not going to. It's just they don't have the size, they don't have the depth yet. And again, to think I'm criticizing them or doing anything other than making a fair assessment of just how it works in college football is just I think people are just too much being like, "Oh my god, everybody's against us. Oh my god. Oh, haha." Yeah, like this thing. Um Nobody cares, bro. Like it's not like we're like, "Oh, Colorado's never gonna be good. Screw prime time." Like, y'all think we just have it out for Colorado for some reason? Like, we've always hated Colorado. I know, like, a lot of people just became fans of Colorado, like the new people in my chat that have probably never been at a Nebraska-Colorado postgame chat, maybe not have watched the 2019 game or even knew that game happened, for instance. Um, Coming in here and trying to tell how college football works, you're gonna have a bad time, my friend. Sorry about that. But thanks for watching. I appreciate you leaving a comment and helping me out in the YouTube algorithm. Colorado fans, I do appreciate y'all being in here because you are helping me out with the algorithm. So thank you. Appreciate that, buddy. Yep. Anyways, feels like a prison sentence. All right. Well, I think that's a good one to wrap it up on. But yeah, we're getting there. Bone leg corn fed. We're getting there. I didn't want to say that wrong. I made sure I said that right. All right. So um yeah, man. I'm probably gonna wrap it up here. Again, let y'all get back to some of the other college football games. I'll just finish with this. Again, exercise patience. We are going to be okay. This team will get better. And that's all there is to it. We gotta hang in there. We gotta keep our keep focusing on the details of the game that we are improving and be right back there next week, rooting them on, hopefully cheering for Harburg. All right, I said it. All right. Yeah, I think Harvard should start next week. So we'll see how the week goes. Join me Tuesday. Me, Mark, and Greg Peterson Tuesday on the live stream. I will be on there this Tuesday, and we will be breaking down the upcoming game against Northern Illinois and going back a little bit over this game when I can look at it a little bit more in depth and kind of watch some of the film and stuff like that. Now I can have some takeaways that I can give you on that. So tune in Tuesday to the live right here at Nebraska Football at the Voice of College Football. And again, get over to Mark Rogers' main channel at the Voice of College Football. And then also, I'm going to go ahead and drop this in here for y'all 1 second. If you would like to get over to Cheesy Corn Sports, any fantasy football fans or anything like that, I'm going to drop this in the chat. And if y'all want to hop over there, again, we go live a couple hours before the games every week. And then also I'm going to drop this in here for y'all. It's your easy, quick access to the Ticket Smarter promo. So I'm going to drop this in here for y'all. So that way y'all have a log of this. And then, yeah, guys, hop on the live with me or with us on Tuesday. Let's go. We'll try to quell some of y'all's concerns again. And, we'll have a little bit more fun next week, the post game, hopefully after a dub. And again, here is Carter Links. Oh, there he is, the man himself, Mark. The defense is playing better and has sense. Exactly. Kind of what I was alluding to earlier. Defense improved, special teams improved. 2 of our 3 units are improved. Penalties, we are cutting back on our penalties. Right now, the one glaring concern, turnovers. Okay, let's look at it microscopically, and let's zoom in the lens. Again, we fixed more things this offseason than we haven't. We got a kicker. I get Tristan Alvondo missed a 45-yarder again. We have a kicker. Trust me. That is a tough situation to come in as a true freshman in your second game. We have offensive line has played better. We still have offensive line penalties. That's the one thing. Defensive penalties, the holdings and the DBs, the pass interferences, we're not getting those right now. We're not getting the roughing the passers. We're getting better. Nebraska is getting better. Right now, it's the quarterback position. And like I said, I'm not giving up on Sims just yet. But again, Harburg should probably be the guy next week with Sims being banged up with a mild ankle sprain, Chuba Purdy not being 100% healthy now that we're finding out, which also leaves us in a tough situation next week if we can't get it over there. If we can't get Harburg going, or if Harburg gets banged up, then we're in a tough little situation there. But yeah, so good point there. Good point there, Mark. It's looking up, guys. It's looking up. Like I said, we'll be okay. Again, hop on with us on Tuesday. Me, Mark, and Greg. We're going to talk about it. Hop over to the Voice of College Football, right there, Mark's main channel. So that way you can stay tuned with all of the stuff coming up on his main channel, all the live call-in shows, all the stuff on his individual channels, the Big 12 channel, SEC channels, the whole nine. You can find all that stuff in the description of the videos as well. But yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off here. I appreciate everybody hopping in here. I appreciate y'all's time. Appreciate everybody chopping it up with me a little bit. And have a great rest of y'all's day. And I will see y'all on Tuesday. Peace.